Hey everyone, I am Charting Man Dan of the Chart Guys, and in this live stream we're going to be looking at the cryptocurrency sector. We're going to be looking at a couple red flags that the bulls have, but we also need to specify who those red flags are for, because longer term we know that part of uptrends consolidation is inevitable. So the question is, who are the red flags for? And I'll show you exactly what those red flags are. Obviously, red is the first clue, but some volume is an indication of those red flags, and also how the drop that we most recently had overnight, how that took place. Also a bit of a red flag. So let's get right into it. So looking at, and I know a lot of people sometimes want me to get right into crypto right away, but too bad. No, there's a lot of clues out there in markets elsewhere, and myself being a trader for the last 13 years looking at all these other markets, there are clues to be had. For example, the NASDAQ showed a good bit of weakness on April 12th. And on April, that night, I can remember laying in bed and thinking to myself, I'm looking for a potential short. And then, I was looking at the crypto space and saying, but the crypto bulls are doing exactly what they want to see here. And we've got, we had the rotation going on at that point. Okay, Bitcoin's trading around 30,000. It's trading sideways. The altcoins are playing catch up. And so that for me said, well, how can I be bearish the NASDAQ if the crypto bulls are looking this strong? And then in the end, the next day, the NASDAQ bulls have a big green day and they keep full control. And right now, the exact opposite is happening. We had weakness overnight. The NASDAQ had a gap down open, and it is the crypto names that are big in red today. Here's my list on the right. You can see all that red, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9% drops. So a lot of red in crypto, but the bulls bought the dip all day in the NASDAQ, and we're just about to roll over. And I am short Riot right now, so I'm a little bit distracted as I'm managing an open position. We'll look at that in just a moment. But my point is the NASDAQ bulls and the S&P 500 bulls are holding on just fine right now. So I've been talking about this sideways range on the NASDAQ because it's one of the tightest sideways ranges that we've been in the last few years. We know the last few years have been marked by a lot of volatility. And right now, that volatility is shrinking. And so we know that when this range on the NASDAQ breaks, whether it's 312.57 or 321.63, that will be an important indication for us. And we're closer to resistance than we are to support right now. And I need to take a little bit of profit on this Riot short. Appreciate your patience. We'll get right back into it. Just going to scale out a little bit as I was scaling in. And what's happening right now is the NASDAQ had a 5-minute uptrend literally the entire day, and we just broke it. And so I've been shorting Riot all day. And again, this is the crypto miner. And most recently, it was this 15-minute lower high that I was scaling in the short for. And so I got some fills in the 1230s, and now just selling enough that I can be risk-free and not be distracted while we go through the technical analysis of the crypto space. But you can just see the miners right now, Riot is showing us the first very significant relative weakness that we've seen comparative to the NASDAQ in the last couple of weeks. It's been relative strength almost every day, and that is changing now. And obviously the weakness in crypto last night was a lot to do with that. So scaling out some position, placing a stop loss for the rest. Where do we just top out? 1235. We'll set a stop just over that for the rest. Making sure I'm putting in the right numbers. Okay, so Riot is pulling back on the daily, weakness in crypto, but strength in the broader market. So if the NASDAQ bulls are able to break this sideways range bullish, then I'm going to anticipate that the consolidation in the crypto space is going to be short-lived. And if this breaks bearish, then we're going to see weekly consolidation underway. And the relationship between metals and crypto and stocks have all been very close over the last 5 weeks. They've been going up for 5 weeks. And weekly consolidation is becoming inevitable eventually. And gold just started weekly consolidation. But again, it was a bear break with no follow through. So weekly consolidation is underway for gold. And another big question is the dollar. Is the dollar going to defend this weekly support? We have a double bottom on the lowest level that the dollar has seen in the last year. And we know that the dollar bulls are, I should say the dollar is inverse to the everything that we just talked about. Metals, crypto, stocks. So you want to see the dollar weak if you are bullish any of those things. And right now we have a double bottom, which is not what the bulls want to see. And we have a bounce attempt, but it is still a daily downtrend. So the best case scenario for crypto bulls would be for the dollar to fail 102.81 and roll over and break this double bottom of support. And that would keep the dollar the weakest it's been in a while, and that would keep our other assets stronger. So keeping an eye on the dollar and the NASDAQ. But now let's get to crypto. So Bitcoin, we had a nice bounce yesterday, and the crypto bulls were on the verge of taking back over. And I made a post on Twitter where I was saying, you know, bulls, we were right here, and I was saying, great bounce for the bulls, but you've got to confirm that 4-hour uptrend for the daily higher low to be set. And so we had the great bounce. We had consolidation in a bull flag, no red flags whatsoever. We failed resistance, and then we broke support. As soon as we break 29.9, that's a red flag. That shows us a failed bull flag. And really, there was 1 hour last night where the bears just walloped the crypto space. And you go and look at a bunch of these altcoins, and you look at 4 a.m. Eastern, and it was just a big sell. And it was that support level breaking and the response to that level breaking. And a lot of the altcoins dropped harder than Bitcoin on that break. And so that shifted the tone considerably. That was essentially Bitcoin bulls saying, you know, we're still hanging on. We're looking fine, trying to hold daily EMA 12 and head back to the recent high, and saying nope. And that is also leading to 4-hour oversold conditions not marking the daily higher low. It's pretty much a double bottom down at that level, but the fact that we retraced back to that level is a bit of a red flag. So it's only a red flag for bulls that are short-term bulls. And one thing that I do when I enter trades is I will often say, you know, I'm in this trade, but if we're going to see X consolidation on X time frame, then I want to be out. So essentially, a long-term bull looks at this chart and says, we haven't seen any meaningful weekly consolidation since 19.5 thousand. We went up 50% since then. We know weekly consolidation is inevitable. That's how uptrends work. We're going to have to pull back on the weekly. The only bulls that are concerned are the bulls that are in shorter term positions and saying, well, I don't want to sit through weekly consolidation. Maybe I made my entry within the last couple of weeks. Maybe I don't have a lot of profit cushion. Maybe I was just looking for a shorter term bullish trade. Those are the people that have the red flags. Anybody that's, you know, looking multiple months, they know the weekly consolidation is inevitable. So we're likely to form a weekly inside bar unless the bears really, you know, take some control here. And then how that inside bar breaks is going to dictate whether that weekly consolidation is underway or not. And then we're going to watch weekly EMA 12. And again, it's the same thing on gold. I'm watching gold weekly EMA 12 as a support test next consolidation. So yes, there are short-term red flags on the inability of the bulls to confirm the 4-hour uptrend on the oversold bounce and the fact that we saw a high volume bear break, but it's only a red flag for short-term bulls. There's also an uptrend support line that I'm going to keep an eye on here on the 12-hour, something like that. Just a little visual guide. See if the bulls are able to hold that. In the short term, on the hourly, we're chopping around today, trying to get a bounce going, struggling to do anything really significant. And so we've got our low, high, holding the low, but bulls aren't really doing much on this current bounce attempt. So there's relative weakness because, again, the NASDAQ's been going up for 4 hours on its bounce, and Bitcoin benefited from that a little bit, but the fact that these crypto names are still weak and near their lows, and the fact that Bitcoin is not getting a bounce going here, we can say that the Bitcoin bears are positioned well if the NASDAQ sees any meaningful hourly consolidation. And right now, the NASDAQ just broke support with zero follow through, straight into a bounce, staying healthy overall. And you look at Riot, and again, it's just relative weakness. So 15 minutes ago, Riot was up at 1235. And for QQQ, 15 minutes ago, we're testing where we just were. And that's why it's very forgiving if you are longing a relative bull and shorting a relative bear. Riot is still 8 pennies from where we were when QQQ was last at this level. That said, the lack of bear follow through on QQQ, I'll just let it play out. I was going to say I'm going to take a little bit more profit, but take half of the profit that I was going to take. And then we'll leave a runner. It's getting close to the end of the day here. Want to lock in the wins, not planning on swing trading. You see my order just show up on the chart there? That's me. Keep the stop for the remainder above that last lower high. All right. Got to adjust this. I appreciate you bearing with me here. I'm a bit all over the place when I'm trading while live streaming. All right, so we got Bitcoin covered. We know we're weak in the short term. We know that weekly consolidation will be inevitable. Gold is already seeing weekly consolidation. We're watching to see if the dollar is going to get a weekly bounce going. We know the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 bulls are still holding on just fine at this point. And the dominance chart is bouncing, which is showing us that altcoins are dropping harder. So the overnight move, when that happened, I looked at the dominance chart. I said, you know, what happened overnight? And this big green candle shows me that the altcoins dropped harder than Bitcoin because Bitcoin dominance went up as all of crypto dropped. So altcoins taking it on the chin a little bit more as far as this pullback. And if you look at what Bitcoin just did, we gave back pretty much yesterday's bounce. But if you look at what some of these altcoins did, they gave back a lot more than that. And let's just run through some examples here. APT just gave back almost a week of what the bulls were trying to put together here. And look at Sushi. Sushi just gave back almost a week. So the red candles on a lot of these altcoins are much more concerning than on Bitcoin. XRP just dropped, 2 weeks. Just took out 2 weeks of slow grind up with that one red candle. So in the video last Monday, the live stream, I was talking about, this consolidation looks fine. The altcoin bulls are holding on. They're consolidating less than Bitcoin, and that has now shifted. And so again, my trading style is I am reactionary. I react to the information rather than trying to predict in terms of when I'm looking for, the bigger picture moves. And so that move last night is, again, a clear indication that weekly consolidation is likely shaping up. And for many altcoins, that weekly consolidation is now underway. So ETH is pulling back and it's still in a daily uptrend. Anything above 1855 is a daily high or low, but obviously the size of this pullback is way more than the bulls want to see. A lot of liquidations took place on that candle. For you to see, 5-10 times the average volume and to just fall straight down into hourly oversold conditions to that magnitude, that happens with stop losses triggering. It's like a waterfall effect. And so we didn't see hourly oversold conditions on ETH get bought up because we just went right through. It's a chain reaction. It's just bing, 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 hitting all those orders on the way down. And we had the hourly bounce, set the lower high, and it's just an hourly tightening range. So big drop, lower high, testing the low. If the low breaks, we'll and watch for 4-hour oversold conditions. I might get interested in Ethereum playing for oversold, 4-hour oversold. I haven't traded crypto in a couple of weeks, and that's because I've been trading these crypto stocks like a madman every day. I've been trading Riot easily the most of any stock this year. And again, it just has to do with the fees. the position that you just watched me trade on Riot in terms of exiting, if I did that exact same thing on Bitcoin, I would have just paid like $2,000 in fees or something like that. And so it's just such a benefit to have zero fees trading something that moves as volatile as these altcoins. So I will be interested in Ethereum if we get to 4-hour oversold. And that's also because ETH BTC is getting towards 4-hour oversold as well. So essentially it would be a play for both the US dollar pairing and the BTC pairing to bounce at the same time. ETH BTC has not confirmed a daily uptrend yet. Yeah, we had a big old bounce after that upgrade or whatever it was. I don't even know. But it was clearly a bearish event that had no follow through, and that caused shorts to cover. And so we have to see the bulls confirm the daily uptrend from here if this move is going to have follow through. And that was a theme in the last video as well with all altcoin BTC pairings. The fast hard moves are nice, but you must confirm trends if they're going to stick and if they're going to see follow through. And that's the case for ETH BTC as well. It's already retracing a little bit more than bulls want to see here. We're definitely looking for the daily high or low, but no sign of it yet. So if we get to 4-hour oversold conditions on ETH and ETH BTC, and if the hourly is beat up, I'm going to look to potentially scale in a couple positions. And then my trading style will be enter a position or two. If we get a bit of a bounce underway, I sell partial, and then I put my stop under the low at that point, where if that's the bottom for now, great. And if it's not, I stop out with very minimal risk. But I need another leg down if I'm going to be considering that. Litecoin, big drop. So again, erasing 5-6 days of grind up, and we are rejecting from weekly resistance. We definitely got closer to weekly resistance than I thought we would get to, but there is still the possibility of this being an equilibrium where we've got our low, high, higher low, maybe a lower high, and then we'll look for a weekly higher low if the bears are able to follow through from here. And if we look at the 12-hour time frame, it's a big enough drop that we're going to be looking for a 12-hour lower high to be the result of the next bounce on Litecoin. And we had this 4-hour channel that I was using as a visual guide, and that broke with that big drop last night. Just a very nice channel. 1, 2, 3, 4 levels, tons of touches, and just fell right through it. So close to getting oversold conditions on Litecoin as well, and LTC BTC approaching 4-hour oversold, not quite there just yet. OP is a name that has a much better bounce. So if you're looking at names out there, there's that big red candle that everybody saw last night, but look at the size of the bounce retracement. OP got back 80% of that drop. And how much did Bitcoin get back from that drop? A fraction of that. And the vast majority of altcoins got back a fraction of that. So it definitely stands out. We're still going to anticipate the tightening range. High, low, lower high. We'll then scout a higher low. So we're going to look for an equilibrium, but we've got a ton of space for this higher low to form, where many names are going to potentially be dropping to a lower low if we see weakness over the next couple of hours. And this actually reminds me of gold. Look at that. Look at how similar that is. There's gold's big drop. It didn't happen in 1 hour. It happened over a span of hours. There's your almost V-shaped bounce. And it's just very similar to OP. It just happened differently. 1 hour versus 6 hours down. So again, I'm seeing definite similarities in the metals and in crypto since the fundamental narrative of the banking fear. How long ago was that at this point? A month? About a month ago. That definitely linked up the correlation between the metals and crypto a lot stronger than it's been in quite some time. Dogecoin was another name we were looking at from last stream, and looking at a 2-day lower high as being the most likely scenario, which is what we got. So big breakout candle, higher low, lower high, tightening range. So bulls need to hold 8 cents, which they're doing for now. And we're going to look for this range to continue tightening up and eventually break. So now there's a new key resistance level at 9.5. The key support remains at 8 cents. And again, this is My favorite trading style is finding the tight ranges and then getting ready for when those ranges break. And the good thing about these tight ranges as a trading style is, like I mentioned, reactive. You don't have to predict the direction that they break. QQQ, 5-minute time frame this morning. Beautiful equilibrium. Just small, had no idea how the morning was going to shape up. Are we going to see a weak bounce and roll over, or is this bounce going to last through the morning? 5-minute tightening range. If you reacted to the break, QQQ then held the 5-minute uptrend for the next 4 hours. And you didn't have to guess if it was going to break bull or bear. You could have reacted to the bull break, grabbed a position, and then had a nice win following through from that. So that obviously is an ideal example, but those examples happen all the time. So just remember that for all the people that are out there with trading and technical analysis and prices, just know that that is not the way that it has to be done. You can absolutely react and still be a profitable trader. It's just a different trading style. All right, I need to find where the YouTube chat is at with all you wonderful people. Check back in on Riot real quick. My remaining position still holding. Need to see a break of 12.22. And the reason we're bouncing off 12.14 on Riot is because that's the low of Monday, 12.12. So bulls are trying to defend that support. Here's one to write down. So I talk about relative strength and relative weakness all the time. And I've said this many times, but in case you've missed it, the number one reason that relative strength will shift to relative weakness, or that relative weakness will shift to relative strength, which happens all the time throughout the day, is a key hold of support or a key rejection from resistance. So Riot had a bear correlation with the NASDAQ the entire trading day. We test the low of daily support by 2 pennies, and from that point forward, the next 15 minutes, we bounced 3% with no trend changes, just straight up. And the bear correlation shifted to a significant bullish correlation. It was brief. It lasted 15 to 30 minutes, but the reason it happened was the hold of support. So that's why it's so important to be watching where these key levels are on longer term time frames for whatever instrument you're trading, because those key levels very often mark the shift in correlation. All right. Appreciate you all tuning in. Thanks for the likes and the shares and all that stuff. For those of you newer to the stream, make sure and check out our YouTube channel. I find that a lot of people, they see the videos when they pop up on their recommended videos or whatever, but they don't see the other 7,000 videos on our YouTube channel. Obviously not that many, but we got these playlists organized. I had someone recently comment, man, I wish you had psychology content on your YouTube. And it's like, there's an entire playlist of, I've dedicated 500 hours of my life to making psychological content. It's all right there. So make sure you're checking out the YouTube. Hey, Jimmy from Australia. Magic. Haven't looked at Magic in a while. I'm down to look at Magic. So Magic, I like the 2-day for clarity. This was a nice little falling wedge that broke bull, but that bull break was just into a longer term lower high. So it's a weekly equilibrium that is at risk of breaking bear. High, low, lower high, higher low. And if this is a lower high being set, and if we drop down and break 123, we're going to confirm the first weekly downtrend ever on Magic, at least on Binance. So that would be a notable shift. 123 is a key support level. Bulls definitely want to hold that. Otherwise, a longer term momentum shift is potentially taking place. Steve from New Zealand, thank you. Welcome, Roadhouse. Delay in the audio. Oh, man. Well, too late now. Just close your eyes. Sorry about that. Hex is crashing. Nah. I mean, it's definitely weak, but I wouldn't call that crashing. Downtrend. Clear daily downtrend. So here's a good perfect example of what I talked about at the start in terms of, is Bitcoin, someone in the comments is saying Bitcoin bullish or bearish? It all depends on perspective. Short term, bearish, absolutely. Weekly time frame, bullish, clear uptrend. You have to specify time frame. Unless something is in the same trend on every time frame, you're going to have different answers based on different time frames. There are oftentimes things that will be in a weekly uptrend, a daily downtrend, an hourly uptrend. And so you can't just give this broad stroke of one word to describe something. You have to give those details because it's very different based on the time frame. So Bitcoin is bearish in the short term, and Bitcoin is bullish on the weekly chart. And we're going to be looking for a weekly high or low to be the result of next consolidation with a lot of space for that to form. I would call anything above 19.5 a weekly high or low. And for Ethereum, I would call anything above 1688 a weekly high or low. So longer term, the weekly uptrend is the most important thing for us right now. What clues or correlations have I noticed between crypto miners stocks and crypto? So definitely small clues, and not enough for me to base an entire trade game plan around those clues, but just enough for me to shift my conviction in terms of being more confident or less confident. There's definitely, the crypto miners were stronger than crypto for a lot of the past 2 weeks, where it was just, whether it was short covering or whatever it was, there was a significant amount of buying pressure in Riot. And there would be times where, Riot would go up 5% on the morning and Bitcoin would be trading sideways for that same period of time. And so they do, when I look at the crypto miners, there are two factors for me. What's Bitcoin doing? What's the NASDAQ doing? Sometimes the NASDAQ matters more, and other times Bitcoin matters more. And obviously they matter to a certain degree together, but that's how I view it. And usually it's just short term where I'm using it for clues, where today it helped me. So today it helped me shorting Riot. Why? Because Riot, here's how we started the day. Low, high, higher, low, lower, high. And it was right around here. So at 1025, Riot is trading. It's that same tightening range as the NASDAQ, right? Clear NASDAQ correlation that we just looked at. And it was trading right near its low at 1020 and 1025. What was QQQ doing at 1020 and 5? Here's 1025. So 1025 to 1030, we're trading at the top of the range in QQQ. And Riot at 1025 to 1030 is trading at the bottom of the range. Clear bearish correlation. What's Bitcoin doing at that point in time? Bitcoin was up at its highs. So here's Bitcoin up at the highs of its entire bounce at 1030, 1035, and Riot was hovering near its low of the day. So I saw relative weakness in Riot to the NASDAQ. I saw relative weakness in Riot to Bitcoin. And so my mindset was, well, any weakness in Bitcoin or in QQQ, and the Riot bears are positioned very well. And we didn't even get any of that QQQ, but the Riot bears still did exactly what they needed to do, driving the price down over the next couple of hours. So that is how I used clues to be shorting Riot, just noticing relative weakness to the two main things that matter for how Riot trades. Good question. Danny Edwards has got it down. BTC, bearish short term, bullish longer term. When trading, place your stop. Yes, it is. If you're waiting to play the break of the tightening range, your stop is further away. Absolutely. And so what you do, we're just going to use QQQ as an example because it was a nice tightening range. What I do is I sell partial. So if you're going to act on the break of 317.40, you need to ensure that 317.55 breaks right after. Otherwise, that's a red flag. But I sell into that move. So if I'm going long at 317.40, maybe I take half off or a portion off at 317.80. And so now my break even is 317. And then at no point did we get back to my break even. And again, that's just a rough example, but my style is take that partial profit and then your cost basis of break even gives you more breathing room. Because if I buy that break and then I don't do anything and I just let it play out, if we break and then go right into 5-minute consolidation, I've got to be a bit, I'm not comfortable. I don't have much cushion to work with. So as soon as you sell partial, you're building a cushion. Your break even is lower and you've got that cushion to work with. So that is my style. And so here's an example of that relative weakness continuing. Here's QQQ trading. Nothing's going on 25 minutes. Dead sideways. What's Riot doing the last 25 minutes? Exactly what I wanted to do as a bear. Downtrend, lower lows. When you recognize relative strength and relative weakness, again, it's just so much more forgiving to be trading in the direction of the tide or the current versus against it. You are welcome, Thomas. Gala. So Gala rejecting from resistance here, double top into a notable pullback. And bigger picture, it's a weekly equilibrium. Low, high, higher low, lower high, higher low. Is this our lower high being set? It certainly is a possibility. The most important support, big picture, is 3.6. And the bears need to confirm a 12-hour downtrend if we're going to be shaping up that weekly lower high and continuing to tighten up in that really nice weekly equilibrium. And that is a very nice tightening range to be watching for when it breaks. Definitely going to be some longer term implications there. ARB. ARB got that all-time high right into a big pullback. Definitely looks like bulls are temporarily exhausted for now. Daily bull flag confirmed, straight into a pullback. What did Riot just do on the daily? Daily bull flag confirmed, straight into a pullback. That's the way that I view that is just imagine a bull is fighting or running or whatever, and it uses the last of its energy, the home stretch, and then it's got nothing. It's gassed. And so we break resistance, and then we're done. We got to take a breather. And ARB is doing that same thing. Holding daily EMA 12 would be nice for the bulls here to try and keep some hope alive. We've got hourly EMA 12 resistance for the last 24 plus hours. That's keeping a lid on things. But again, we got to be watching for the potential of weekly consolidation. If the bulls are going to salvage things here, they need to confirm this hourly uptrend breaking 161 to have that daily EMA 12 hold as support. Because if you lose daily EMA 12 from here, that for me increases probabilities of weekly consolidation significantly. All right, just end of the day stream for stocks is starting in 10 minutes for ChartGuys members. ETC, daily stair-step pattern, lower high every day for 5 days. A bear break of 2015 support. Weekly consolidation is already underway. So here's one that's a little bit less clear. If I'm looking at this, someone that's newer to technical analysis is getting confused by these wicks. You know, where is this an equilibrium? It looks like a tightening range, but the wicks are making it less clear. Zoom out, 2-week time frame. Low, high, higher, low. Anything under 24.95 is a lower high within this long-term tightening range. So my mind, as an experienced trader, easily just picks that out. You know, I can see that tightening range forming here. But those wicks definitely throw off newer traders. So if you're ever seeing wicks that are throwing off, is that an uptrend or a downtrend or an equilibrium? Just zoom out, and things generally will be more clear if you just zoom out one time frame. All right, last one, AGIX. 87 likes, not great, not bad. Appreciate you like clickers. Daily downtrend confirmed, so healthy higher low, fail resistance, break support. So as soon as 413 breaks, that is your daily downtrend confirming. And obviously a lot of follow through from that support breaking. And that's those stops being triggered on that 1 hourly candle. A lot of stops in crypto were triggered last night. And so we go to the weekly, and we're on the verge of confirming a weekly downtrend. If we break 367, it's a weekly, daily, hourly, 4-hour, everything will be in a downtrend at that point. So 367, key support coming into play. And we're going to look for a 4-hour lower high to be the result of the next bounce. Same thing on Bitcoin and a bunch of names. We're going to look for the 4-hour to be the most likely scenario, next bounce from here. Appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure and do good things. Have a check back in shortly. And again, just weekly consolidation is looking like it's shaping up. Gold's already doing it. And what would fend off weekly consolidation for me would be if SPY and QQQ clearly break highs, which is a possibility. Really, it's got to be QQQ for me. Thanks again. Have a rest of your Wednesday.